The Tao Te Ching. It's been around forever, right? A source of deep wisdom. But what if we've been, well, missing something huge? What if the real key to its ancient secrets isn't just in reading the words, but in actually seeing the pictures they were born from? Let's dive into a new translation that tries to do just that. Okay, so right off the bat, you can see how different this is. A concept we all kind of know, Wu Wei, which usually gets translated as effortless action, suddenly becomes dancing without forcing. Now, whether you're a scholar who's studied this for years or someone picking it up for the first time, that's a jolt, right? Why is this deep spiritual idea suddenly so physical, so full of movement? It completely flips the script from something passive to something active, and honestly joyful. And believe me, that feeling of strangeness, it's totally intentional. It runs through the whole translation. The thing is, it's built on a different foundation. It goes back to the absolute oldest texts we have. We're talking ancient bamboo slips and silk manuscripts to try and pull out the original physical images that are baked into the characters themselves. Now, it's important to say, this approach of digging into the word pictures is a very specific way of looking at it. It's definitely challenging the more traditional translations by trying to get past centuries of philosophical interpretation. And this method, wow, it leads to some really startling language. I mean, look at this. The big abstract idea of virtue becomes this really personal thing, self-alignment. The wise old sage? Nope, now he's an investigative reporter, someone who's out there listening, observing, and reporting back. Kings aren't just rulers, they're axe kings, and you can just feel the weight of their power in that word. And evil? It's not some cosmic force, it's something deeply human, a twisted heart. You can just imagine someone who loves the classic text reading this and thinking, what is going on? It feels almost irreverent, but the goal is actually to be more precise, not less. So that really brings us to the central question we're tackling here. Why does this ancient classic text suddenly sound so physical, so earthy, and yet so strange? The answer, according to this new work, is that we have to stop just reading the words and start actually seeing the pictures they originally were. So how does this even work? Well, the core idea is pretty straightforward, actually. Ancient Chinese characters weren't just abstract symbols like our alphabet. They started out as literal pictures, carved into bone and bronze. So by taking these characters apart, piece by piece, we can get way closer to their original concrete meanings. Let's start with the big one, Tao. We always hear it translated as the way, but if you look at the character itself, its pieces tell a totally different story. You've got a head and a symbol for walking. So this isn't some static path that's laid out for you to follow. It's the act of traveling itself. It's a head, your awareness, leading your feet forward. The path is the walking. Mind-blowing, right? Or how about T, usually translated as virtue? Look at the pictographs here. You have a step, a straight gaze from an eye, and a heart. See? T is not about following some external moral rulebook. It's an internal state. It's about walking through the world with your heart aligned to how you, yourself, see things. It's a shift from morality to pure integrity. Okay, what about knowing? The character for Z, to know something, is made of an arrow and a mouth. This completely reframes what it means to know. It's not about just hoarding a bunch of abstract facts in your head. It's about aimed perception. It's about words that fly true and hit their mark, just like an arrow. It's a skill, not just a pile of information. And this goes for everything, even the word for things or creatures. The character for Wu is made of an ox and a symbol that means streaked or marked. Its original meaning? The different brands that farmers would put on their oxen. So when the Tao Te Ching talks about the 10,000 things, it's not some high-flying philosophical idea. It's talking about branded things. All the individual creatures and objects that have been marked out and counted from the great undifferentiated whole. Okay, so this isn't just about redefining a few keywords here and there. When you start applying this consistently across the whole text, a whole worldview starts to emerge, and it's one that is deeply animistic, really rooted in the physical, day-to-day realities of ancient life. And this is where things get really wild. For anyone who's familiar with later Taoist or Confucian ideas, this next part is probably going to be a bit of a shock. Take three massive concepts: goodness, beauty, and righteousness. This translation makes the case that all of them, at their root, have the character for sheep. So goodness becomes sheep-skilled, the practical competence of a good shepherd. Righteousness is sheep sacrifice. And beauty? Well, beauty is just big sheep. Yeah, you heard that right. Beauty is a well-fed animal. That's a direct quote from the translator's notes. And think about what a profound challenge that is to how we think. In this worldview, beauty isn't some abstract aesthetic thing. It's prosperity. It's a sign of a thriving life. It is real, it's tangible, and it's tied directly to survival. So all of this concrete, earthy imagery, it points to a world that was understood in a fundamentally different way from ours. It's an animistic world, a world that's alive with forces, with things like valley spirits and the dead who return. The universe isn't run by some distant, transcendent god or a set of abstract rules. It's a living, breathing landscape filled with tangible energies and beings.
Okay, let's look at one of the most famous and difficult words in the whole text, Shwen. It's usually translated as mysterious or profound or dark, but the character itself is a picture of twisted silk fibers, and that picture tells a whole story. It's the story of taking raw silk, twisting it, and dipping it again and again and again into a vat of indigo dye for days until it becomes this priceless, deep, almost black fabric.
So the key here is that Shwen isn't just darkness. It's a darkness that is full of patience and skill and an incredible amount of effort. It represents a depth that you just can't fake and you definitely can't rush. The darkness itself was proof of the work. So, how does this all fit together? What's the point of translating a text in a way that's so, frankly, demanding for the reader? Well, it turns out that's the whole philosophy behind this project. You'll notice that words like Tao and Shwen are often just left as they are, untranslated. And that's a very deliberate choice. The translator basically argues that no single English word can carry the full weight of their original physical meaning. Mysterious just loses the whole story of the silk. Virtue loses that image of the straight-gazing heart. So these untranslated words are meant to be like little doorways. You run into one, you have to stop, and you step through it into a much deeper understanding, something a simple English word can never give you. And this right here, this is the core idea. Every compression is a betrayal. Trying to make the text smooth and easy is to betray its incredible precision. This is a direct challenge, really, to everyone, from new readers to seasoned scholars. The text isn't supposed to be convenient. The difficulty, the strangeness, that friction you feel when you read it, that's not a bug, it's a feature. The inconvenience is the point. So what this translation is really proposing is a completely new way to read. For someone new to the Tao Te Ching, this approach makes it feel visceral, real, and accessible. For a scholar, it forces a reevaluation of all those abstract interpretations they've learned. It asks all of us to encounter these unfamiliar, concrete phrases, to slow way down, and to try and experience the text on its own ancient terms, to actually see a worldview, not just consume a bunch of information. And that leaves us with a pretty big final thought, one that goes way beyond just this one book. What if the key to truly understanding the past isn't just about reading the words, but about seeing them? What if the secret to connecting with ancient wisdom isn't just to translate, but to excavate the pictures hidden inside the words?